Here we have a passage with multiple texts, and when you have that, you first want to look at the prompt. So step one is to read the prompt. And the prompt says, how would the author of text 2 respond to the claim in text 1? So whenever they're asking how one of the texts will respond to the other, we want to know the context first of what, in this case, text 1 says. So step 2 is to get the context of it, which in this situation is text 1. And when we read, we don't read every word. We let our minds decide which words are more important. We skip as many little details as we can so that we can really focus on the main idea. We can always come back and get details later. So the painters in the 1500s, they rarely depicted themselves. Even more rare were paintings that portrayed them as painters. Painting wasn't respected, so painters chose to emphasize other qualities, like their intellectual or social status. The first artist to depict themselves painting was a man named Carracci. A painting from 1585 shows Carracci in front of an easel holding a palette. So the first artist to depict himself painting was Carracci. Okay, now we want to know what the response is. So step 3 is to read the response that we're being asked about. So what is the response? It says they typically avoided referring to the act of painting until the mid 1600s, but in 1577, this painting, in 1577, so it was a different painting than the one that text 1 mentioned, is the earliest example. The artist is playing music, but there's a painting easel by the window. So the easel by the window makes this the first depiction of painting. So now text 1 says the first depiction of painting was in 1585. Text 2 says that's wrong. It was actually in 1577 because there was an easel in the background of another painting. So now let's go through the answer choices. That'll be our step 4 here. To go to the actual answers. And choice A, they were both among the well-respected painters. The point was, well, it wasn't the point, and it's definitely not text 2's response. Text 2 was more concerned with, whether or not this was an example of someone depicting themselves painting. So it wasn't about their respect level. Answer choice B, it was intended to underscore the artist's creativity. Well, we just don't see a mention of that. All we see is that the artist was playing music and there was a painting easel by the window. So there was no mention of what the intent was. Choice C, Fontana inspired the reference to an easel and palette. Was it inspired? Did it inspire Carracci, who was mentioned in text 1? You might infer that, but we want everything to be super literal. And so if it's not literally being said, then we don't want it. And choice D, the self-portrait of the keyboard, which is what text 2 mentioned, was painted earlier than Carracci's painting. We see it being earlier because it was 1577 instead of 1585. And it refers to the artist's craft because there was the painting easel by the window. So the answer here is going to be D.